Hey all, Bree from the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I have got a gift for you this holiday season. If you love the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I mean love the No Guilt Mom podcast, then tell us about it. Leave us a review, and you can be entered to win a No Guilt Mom gift card. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and then simply go to noguiltmom.com/review to enter our giveaway for a free No Guilt Mom gift card, simply for telling us what you think about the podcast. It is amazing. But don't delay. Get right on this, as we're going to be giving away that No Guilt Mom gift card on December 21st. So get right on over and visit noguiltmom.com/review.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by my gleeful co-host, Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
I knew I used gleeful before, but it's a feeling.
Yes, it is. And that's important for this episode. It is.
We are talking about feeling your feelings and letting kids feel their feelings.
Yes, because there is so much guilt and so much frustration around feelings. Yeah, I think as a parent.
I think because we were taught that you need to be happy all the time and you need to be smiling all the time and don't make other people uncomfortable by quote unquote burdening them with your feelings.
Don't be a Debbie Downer.
Don't be a, oh my gosh, right? How often have we heard that?
Yeah.
But really, when we try to stuff those feelings and when we try to really minimize our kids' feelings, it creates a lot of mental stress, a lot of mental anguish.
Right. Those meltdowns and those breakdowns that they have that we're trying to avoid, we just make them worse.
We make them worse. Yeah. And so today's guest is Marcelle Waldman. She is the mom of two, and she's an early childhood educator. And she's also the creator and owner of something really cool called FeelLinks, Feeling Plush Dolls and Journal Set, educating parents and caretakers on the importance of building emotional intelligence in our children and ourselves. And she has some tips on how you can build emotional intelligence in your kiddo. And enjoy our interview with Marcelle. A few years ago, when we had so much going on in our house, my husband Josh and I had a conversation about like the things in our house we can outsource, things like cleaning the house, and laundry was brought up. And at first I was really, really resistant because I was like, who does it? Who's touching my underwear? And it's like,
good point.
Will I get all my clothes back? And so we didn't do it at that time. But just recently we found out about Hamper.
Hamper is phenomenal, right? Like,
yeah,
it's the Uber of laundry.
It is the Uber of laundry. And I am now on my second hamper. Like, we just got our second hamper back. And the process is so easy. We literally we go on the app, we schedule our pickup, we tell them how we want our clothes cleaned, like specifications, and that's all there in the app. So easy to use. They pick it up, they bring it back a day later, washed, dried, folded perfectly.
I have to say folded is my favorite part.
Yeah.
I can handle throwing it in the washer. I can handle throwing it in the dryer. But the folding part is what gets me. And I think with a lot of our friends, it does.
It does.
Like, raise your hand if your stuff sat in the dryer for more than a day because you're like,
oh, mine sits in laundry baskets in my room for like a week or more.
Right? The idea of opening it and having to fold everything is just bleh.
But we got our hamper back, and all I did was I took the basket into my closet and it went right from the hamper into my drawers. It was unloaded that day because it was so easy, and I didn't worry about my laundry getting lost because Hamper gives you alerts like when your laundry's picked up, when it comes back. It tells you all about your washer and their name, and you get to personally communicate with them. I mean, it was phenomenal.
It couldn't be much easier or more secure. And I have to say, it's one of my favorite outsourcing now. This has taken so much stress off my shoulders. It's insane. I love Hamper. I love Hamper.
It's pretty amazing. So if you want to try out Hamper for yourself, which we totally recommend you do, use the code NOGUILT50, that's NOGUILT50, for 50% off new memberships. And you can check out our show notes for the link and all the info you need to start using Hamper.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Welcome, Marcelle, to the No Guilt Mom podcast. We're so happy to have you here and talk everything emotions. So welcome.
I am so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Kind of want the Mariah Carey song, the emotion song that I will not even attempt to sing because there's so many high notes in there.
Why am I blinking?
I've got you feeling emotions.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You do not even.
Don't even.
I was going to say, I've heard you two sing it out a few times. So,
Ouch. Yeah. That's a little scary. But I am hearing
our editor use
I am hearing that
auto-tune?
thing where she does like the couple of octaves, like, in my head. Like, no, I won't keep that.
We won't attempt that. We won't attempt that.
I only sing for kindergartners, so don't ask me.
Hey, I'm early childhood. So like, again, like 0 to 4-year-olds, they don't care.
No.
They can be off key,
No.
don't matter.
So I used to be a 5th grade teacher, and we used to take our 5th graders to camp every year, and they were having a hard time falling asleep. I sang to an entire bunk of 5th grade boys.
Wow.
That's like the
that
hardest
takes some
audience
Wow.
there is. It's really hard.
And did they go to bed? That's
They did.
the question.
They did go to bed.
There you go. Well,
I was surprised it even worked, but they liked it.
it felt home. It felt like, parents at home, maybe.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you and your story.
Okay, well, I grew up in the Seattle area, so I'm actually back there now. So it kind of took me back full circle, but I grew up in a household with my brother and my mom, and we lived kind of in a high socioeconomic area. However, our family didn't really feel like we fit into that mold. And we were in a bit of survival mode growing up with a single mom. And, we had, I guess, some, mental health challenges in our household. We had some behavior stuff. And I think a lot of those things sort of stemmed from the life that we were living and just trying to, like I said, navigate our everyday. And we went to school with a lot of students that means were quite larger than ours. And so, I would say the idea of all of that really plays into where I am today in my life. And so I just really wanted to start there because that all, like I said, really brought me full circle to where I am today. So growing up, like I said, I lived in this small community, and then I went off to college, and I was the first one in my family to go. So
And you came out here to Arizona.
I did. I am a Wildcat. I went to University of Arizona.
I won't hold that against you.
I know.
It's your hometown. It may not be
No,
your
it's my
school,
hometown.
but-
I'm sorry. The ASU in me just like it just comes out. It just goes.
I gotcha. I hear it all the time over here in Seattle between the Wazoo and the UW. So I get it. I don't live in it every day, but yes, I gotcha. And lucky for me, I actually was able to study elementary education, which is exactly what I wanted to do. And I was still dancing. I grew up taking mostly ballet, so I was able to do that in college. Hit tons of psychology courses and found my husband. So I promised my mother when college was over, as long as I was out of state, I would come back to her. And so we moved back here to the Seattle area and built our life and built our home. And I taught kindergarten for 8 years, taught at the preschool level as well. And I now have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. I have one daughter, one son, and we're hitting the tween years, which is, super fun. And we're enjoying our summer, which is great. And I just launched my own business. So I created a little social emotional toolkit for young children called FeelLinks, and that's where I am today.
Now, when you started FeelLinks, you noticed that something was missing in education, right?
I did. I taught kindergarten for a while, and when I first started teaching, we didn't really have a social emotional curriculum. So it was a lot of reading books and pulling things from all different places. And there are so many amazing books out there that help, picture books and things that help us talk about that with children. But I also felt like, where's like my curriculum? I have a math curriculum, I have a reading curriculum, I have a writing curriculum, but where is this social emotional curriculum? So I remember one of the first things I tried to do was teaching kids about feelings. I found this online. I took a tube of toothpaste and I squeezed it. And every time you squeeze it, it's like those feelings and how that's hurtful and how we can hurt other people by our words and our actions. But then you try and have the kiddo come up and you put that back in and it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And so getting kids to really see it and feel it and touch it and it be tangible was really important, that like our feelings we can repair, but it doesn't always go away, and how important that is. So just making my own toolbox of what that all looked like over the years, and then we did finally receive kind of that curriculum piece, but just knowing that, we had students with autism specifically at our school. We had a program. And so I went out and was like, I got to get all these books and I have to learn how to teach these children, and they're all unique. They have different needs, but so do all of my typical learners. And so I realized they all need this. They all need to know how to ask someone to play. They all need to know how to break through a group. They all need to know what to do when they've hurt somebody's feelings. And they also need to understand how they feel, because learning isn't really going to come if we don't have that ready to go feeling either. So as a teacher, those were the things I felt like were missing, and I found a way to kind of replace those. And yeah, so that was kind of where, reflecting back now, it's like, this is where I am today because I really felt like we needed something, and also that bridge at home, which is super important.
Yeah, I see the need for it as well, like here at No Guilt Mom. But like when I was in the schools, I mean, all the kids got for social emotional learning was once a month, the school counselor would come in and do a lesson.
But wait, and that's if you're lucky enough to have a school that had a school counselor.
That's if you're lucky enough to have one. Or they gave us like this bully prevention program, and I'm blanking on the name right now, but it was like so unengaging and like, as my daughter's favorite word right now, cringy, the videos to watch. That like, no, the kids, like they didn't really learn from it. So I think it's so important what you're doing. I also think that we're kind of the first generation who's realizing that kids need this, because when we were on the playground, I mean, the big saying, those sticks and stones would break my bones, but words can never hurt me.
I'm rubber, you're glue.
Yeah, that one. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Like that isn't how we can problem solve this today. No. That doesn't work.
No.
Well, and I think that's mostly what I keep hearing, with people that either they're listening to a podcast or looking at my website or whatever, is just like, oh my gosh, growing up, like I was stuffing all that in. Oh, you're fine. Oh, you're fine. Oh, you're fine. Yeah. You had the parent that swooped in to fix everything, or you had the, caretaker that, and especially with our boys, which I really hate to say that, but it's true. It's like, we don't feel that way. Right. And so we're getting over that. And I think the more we're educating about it, getting over that is super important for our kids, because we know that this thing that we call emotional intelligence, which is really understanding how we're feeling, that own self-awareness, but also the empathy, the care for how others are feeling. We know how much that helps us throughout life. Like think about your partners, your coworkers, your parents, like your siblings. Like this is important for every walk of life for all of us. But yes, it is something that I don't think we were really aware of until more recently.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM. My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused mini-game quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org. So when you talk about the younger kids, when it comes to emotions, what do you see like kids who are like the preschool age and early elementary, like what do they struggle with the most when it comes to emotions?
So I would say the first thing is that when we talk about our younger kids, we also have to remember, of course, like unique needs, unique experiences of life. So for instance, where I taught, not all children, but most children come from, a different background than where my own children go to school right now, so just noticing that the needs are very different no matter where you come from. What are the caretakers like at home? I mean, there are things that play parts, but in an overall sense, what I would say is at that age, children are egocentric. It's all about me, 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 me. Like, What do I want? How do I feel? But then again, they may not actually know how they feel because they don't have the capacity to express it, to label it, to talk about it in the right tone. So what I would say to that is what children are missing or need to build, I guess, at that young age is that self-awareness, like how am I doing, and the words to go with that, so that we as adults or whatever adults are around them are able to better support where they are at. And really the social skills. I mean, I cannot tell you how many conversations I had with parents, like telling me how their, 5-year-old was this great mathematician. And that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. If the child doesn't understand the sharing and the behavior for the feelings and emotions that we're having, or the ability to just sit in circle time, which I'll tell you as a teacher, I don't always make them sit because not all children can sit. But so I do want to put that in there. But those two things, I think, that self-awareness and building those social skills. And you have children that walk into kindergarten that didn't go to preschool or a daycare setting, and this is their very first experience. So it kind of depends, again, on that background. Where are they? Where have they come from? And those needs might look different for our kiddos. But overall, those were the two things I would say would be top.
And, I love talking about giving them the words because as early childhood, I always would say that as parents, I think that the general default setting for most of us parents are to teach our children, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you mad?
Yes.
And there is so much more on that spectrum than happy, mad, and sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't provide them with the words for that.
No. And just to jump really quick to that, like the feelings that I created, those are the core feelings, but then I have all the words to grow on, right? So we have to teach. We can teach it and we should be teaching it, right? So what is the difference between feeling angry or feeling frustrated?
Right.
There is a difference.
That's a huge difference.
Right. And so giving our kiddos the words is so important. And so I always talk about starting with labeling it for them, right? I can see that you are feeling frustrated right now, or I can see that you are feeling really excited, but giving them that helps them then take that and be like, oh, right now, this is what frustrated feels like, right? So not only modeling it ourselves as caretakers or even teachers, right? I mean, it's important for us to model what that looks like and what it sounds like, but it's good for us to tell our kiddos, like, this might be how you're feeling right now. And those are the important things in being able to label it, because how do we support our kiddos or our students best if we don't actually know really how they are doing?
Yeah, no, it's true, because if they can't communicate to others how they're feeling, then others can't support them. They don't know how to support them.
Exactly.
So naming the feelings, super, super important.
Well,
Right.
and how can they understand their reactions if they
Yes.
don't even understand their emotions to start off with?
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yes.
It's true.
And, going back to how our kiddos are feeling, I mean, even in my own household, right? I mean, we had a struggle today, with just some big feelings, and just being able to find a way to say, it's okay for you to feel that way, but the behavior is not okay.
Exactly.
That is like a big, I use that a lot, just letting them know. I mean, my son is 9 and things are pretty smooth most of the time, but when they aren't, we're human, it's normal. As you guys say, we're not robots. Like, this is so important, right? So it's good for me to say to him, like, it's okay you're feeling that way, but it's not okay to behave that way, right?
Yeah.
Because under all our kids' behaviors are definitely feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, we've been kind of taught to stuff them down and don't show we're mad.
Mhm.
So especially like as parents, sometimes, like we were having this discussion this morning with our coaching group, that we feel bad when we feel angry. We're
Right.
like, oh, we shouldn't feel angry. We shouldn't feel angry. When really it's an emotion that
Yeah.
all humans feel.
Why are we feeling shameful about our feelings?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that's that rough part.
Oh, for sure. And I sometimes overuse some of the words with my children.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah,
I do too.
Right. But that's the other piece to this, is being that model for them, because it's okay that sometimes, they see, well, in our household, it's mom and dad, getting into it about something, but we're being respectful. We're having empathy for what the other person is feeling. Like, modeling that in that way, to me, is not, let's go hide in the other room because our kids shouldn't see us having a discussion about this, right?
Mhm.
It's good for them to see what that looks like and what that feels like, and then how that ends, right? So
Yes.
all of that modeling, and whether it is just myself saying, hey, I am really angry right now at X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
I'm going to take myself in the other room.
Yeah.
Like, for them to be able to recognize, I just regulated by walking away. Like, does that strategy work for you too? I mean, using those strategies and showing our children what those look like is so important for their learning.
I love it. So I've heard you mention like 2 major things that we can do as parents to help kids with feelings, like labeling the feelings, first of all, and then modeling how we really handle our own feelings and deal with them.
Yes.
What,
Oh, yeah.
what's like one more thing that parents can do and take away?
Hey, Aubrey here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays, because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
So I would say, so we said modeling and that regulation of like showing them too what that looks like. But honestly, I'm going to say teaching empathy. I think that that is so important for us to teach our children what their actions might feel or do feel to somebody else. Because over this past year and a half, I mean, gosh, we've all been in a roller coaster of emotions and feelings and maybe discussions with loved ones that have gone really hard because we've had a lot of hard stuff this year.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see things a little more normal. But I think even as an adult, finding empathy for where my loved ones, my friends, my family are at with things that have transpired over this last year and a half, teaching that to our children, to me, is like the most important thing that we could do. Because if they can feel and see what someone else might be feeling in any given situation, then having that care and that kindness toward somebody else that might be going through something or feeling something or even behaving in a way that is irrational to them, but understanding that maybe that child or that person's going through something, empathy, that's it.
Empathy. We have that conversation a lot in my house. A lot of times my daughter will come home and be like, so-and-so was mean and they said this. And just like trying to talk about that. I know, especially with the preteen age, who are very, very preoccupied with everyone being fair and everyone being kind and nice.
Yes.
And
we always say that those preteens, they're going back to the preschoolers.
Oh my
They
gosh.
are.
It is so
It's
true.
all about them.
Yes.
And it's all about, but that wasn't, think about the preschoolers. They're always having fights over, it's not fair. They shouldn't have got to win that game. They shouldn't have got to be line leader the third time.
Yep.
It's just, it's more complicated issues, but they come back down to the same core.
It's the same core thing. It's just the not realizing that other people have feelings too, that they're not perfect. Not everyone is perfect and can react perfectly all the time.
We don't. And we're adults, and we know it, right? Like we are a piece of the educated, group on this exact topic. But we're not.
And we still mess up.
I mess up. Oh yeah. I might have messed up just this morning. I'm telling you. But I think that it is so important for us to have our children be able to, as we can say, like stand in someone else's shoes and feel that, why are they feeling this way? And what could I do to support or help? And even if it's someone they hurt, right? And you're not the onlooker, maybe you're the person that hurt somebody, and then taking the perspective and understanding what to do.
Even like as adults, we just need to do that. Like you hear so often, like something goes on the playground and like a parent's, they shouldn't have done that. They need to get punished, and not showing that same empathy that we so want like kids to have.
Yeah. Those parent groups, like on Facebook, like I'm going to roll back to that because that's my experience. The parenting groups on Facebook, like, all parents of kids at such and such school. Man, empathy is a big one that you're
Empathy
like, okay, people, let's take a step back.
So I personally had to get out of all of that this last year because I think having been an educator and really having my own heart and my own personal feelings, which I don't need to get into, but just about how this last year and a half went for our amazing, incredible teachers was so rough for me to witness, and the empathy that I had for all of my friends that are still, out there doing the hard stuff. And this year was just a challenge in so many ways, and they rose and did amazing. I mean, my children had 2 incredible teachers that did just everything and anything that they could to keep engaged. And so for me, it was really hard to watch the the chatter of everyone feeling this way. And it's like, no, that's not actually, everyone doesn't feel this way, you know? So that was hard for me.
It is.
I wanted to find empathy for some of it, but it was hard sometimes. My own healthcare was get out.
Get out. Yeah. I mean, like,
sometimes walking away is the best thing you can model to your kids.
And like, shout out to our amazing teachers and all the parents who were that way. Like, I mean, just showing like an empathetic view. I know that they were probably struggling themselves and they had no idea how to handle it.
100%. Yes.
I'm going to throw out there, even from like when the pandemic started, I was the director of a preschool for a school district, trying to pivot that curriculum so that we could support the kids and the parents and the kids at home, and then just pivoting. Like, we're going to open. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. We can have this many kids. No, we can't. Like,
right. But then that kind of went back to that whole, like, you think you're the only one that's dealing with the back and forth, or the we're closed, we're open, or we're staying remote. And it's like, no, this was happening worldwide. And it feels like it's just your community, when in reality, no, not everybody's fully open. No, not everybody is dealing with this in the same way. And it was just, I'm glad we're getting to where we are, because we know, you know, some kids this was great for, though. Some kids being home and having that time over the computer was actually like a more valuable place for them. And so I hope that families did get to learn from this year what might be, you know, something different for their own child, which I think is incredible.
And if you didn't get that time isn't lost. You can still work on emotions. You can still work on modeling this stuff. Every day.
And going back to that, you know, I feel that what most parents were asking for was the social emotional learning and connection. And how do we get that? And so when I was saying before about that bridge at home, is as parents and caretakers, please don't have the expectation that that's where it all happens, is at school. Like, it has to be at home also. You have to find whatever the right resources and tools are for your family, for your toolkit. And one child is going to be different than another. We all know that. I mean, I just wrote up actually a blog about our children being orchids, dandelions, or tulips. And I don't know if you've heard this analogy, but like, an orchid needs to be tended to in a very specific environment, in a very specific way. And a dandelion can kind of grow in the cracks of your concrete, right? So it can kind of like be everywhere. And then I learned of the third one, which is the tulip, which is kind of that in between. And I think our kids can probably, you could probably say your kiddo could kind of fit in any of those. Like, where are their sensitivity levels? Does it look different at home than at school? But remember that it probably does look different at home and at school. And you're probably really glad that it does, because I know I am.
Oh, yeah.
My son at home will get upset about certain things, but at school, it would never happen that way. So, but I get to be a frontline teacher for him with those emotions and that behavior, so that when he goes off to school and he's learning more social emotional learning from his teachers and the counselors, that I'm also bridging that at home. It's just really important.
Yes. Yay for emotional intelligence and teaching it at home too. Well, thank you so much, Marcelle, and the amazing work that you do. It has been a pleasure talking to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
You too as well. Thank you.
So feeling the feelings and developing that empathy is so important and so emotionally taxing, I feel, as a parent. Do you feel it?
Yeah. No, so when we were talking with Marcelle, we mentioned how we feel so much guilt as parents.
Yeah.
When our kids are not I don't want to blame our kids, but I'm just going to be our family. When we're mad, when we're upset, we're like, oh, I shouldn't be mad at them for this. Oh, I shouldn't be upset about this. And you know what? When we try to stuff those feelings down and not let our kids see our full range, they think that they have to be perfect and stuff their feelings down.
It's true. And it's also hard when we're dealing with grandparents, for instance. I don't know if you've had this, but my kids will have a meltdown around grandparents. And my parents will be like, it's okay, don't worry about it. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, no, like,
Right.
we need to explore this feeling. And they're like, you don't need to do all that. And so you feel like all of this work you're doing as a parent to help kids name their feelings and feel their feelings is kind of minimized.
It is. Well, and I think that you brought up a really good point. Like that was what our earlier generations were taught.
Yeah.
You just suck it up and you move through it. And yeah, stuffing
up and
down.
deal.
Yeah. Stuffing down emotions don't really help you process them. And perhaps that's why we have such a huge issue with emotional regulation and resilience these days. I mean, we're in a stressful situation. We're in a tough spot. It's been a hard couple of years.
It has.
We're going back to school right now, and going back to school is hard on everybody normally.
And I mean, like, not even talking about the pandemic, before that, for feelings, I eat to control my feelings.
You know me. I'm like, I love to eat my feelings.
Because,
I'm always working through that.
Yeah, you always have to do something to cope. And a lot of us have chosen eating. And really, if we want to give our kids the skills for the future, we can give them these coping skills, and they don't have to have this relationship with food that we struggle with.
I know. So I really hope that you guys got everything out of this episode that Joanne and I did. I mean, talking about your feelings, modeling them for your kids, teaching them about empathy. Don't stuff them down. Talk about them. Work through the problems. This is only going to help your kids.
Yes. And remember, the best mom is a happy mom who feels all her feelings.
Yes.
We'll see you next time.
Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday, who was pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.